One of my affiliates, in fact, it was the very first affiliate to take a chance on me in New England. It's WICC in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Industrial Capital of Connecticut. That's what WICC stands for. You're listening, some of you, live on that station right now as I talk. And one of the townships, boroughs, one of the areas within that listening area is a place all of you have heard of for an unfortunate reason. Newtown, Connecticut. There was the mass shooting at the elementary school there. And there were people like Alex Jones who lied about what happened. And there are people who trusted Alex Jones who believed the lie because they put their trust in a charlatan who, by the way, he's not a conservative. Alex Jones was on the radio in Austin, Texas before he got famous. And he's a dyed-in-the-wool progressive, but he plays for right-wing nuts online and wherever he used to be on radio stations who would listen to him. He is now going to be financially ruined. There is justice in the world. But people trust Alex Jones's opinion on stuff, and so they believe that frogs are gay and the kids and parents were false flag actors. The parents sued, and they're going to wipe him out if they can get the money. He deserves every bit of it. Alex Jones will one day face God in heaven and probably go to hell. But people were willing to believe him because they couldn't imagine. Part of it was they couldn't imagine that anyone would do that to elementary school kids. They just couldn't believe it. And because the media has lost so much of its credibility, they couldn't believe the media. They don't want to believe the government because the government lies. They don't want to believe the media because the media lies. So they put their trust in someone. And I'm very, very mindful of the people who put their trust in me to tell it to you straight. And I don't want to abuse your trust. Alex Jones doesn't care about your trust. He's willing to tell a story to make money. And I use that as an example because I've been invited by the government of Israel to watch the unedited raw footage of the October 7th massacre. The footage comes from the Hamas terrorists wore body cameras to record the footage for propaganda purposes. Some of them recorded videos on their cell phones, and those who were captured, Israel was able to get the videos off their phones. And some of it comes from the police and soldiers in the aftermath and their body camera footage documenting what happened. I've been invited on Thursday to see it, and I want you to know I'm not going. But I want you to know why I'm not going. I'm not going because I've already seen parts of it. And I can't get it out of my head. One of the images, when I close my eyes, that I see is of a father and his son who were tied together by Hamas. They were tied together, then doused in gasoline and set on fire. And the image is of a man clearly holding something you can't truly identify as his son, in the fetal position, laying over on the floor. And it looks just like lumps of coal. I can't get that out of my head. I don't want to put any more in my head. I've seen that, and I've seen other horrible things. I've seen the people burned alive in the back of their car. I've seen the man whose eye was removed and force-fed to him before he was killed. These things happened. So many other horrible things happen. And there are people who can't bring themselves to believe it. In fact, when I said I was invited to do this, there were so many people who said, oh, you must go, because unless you tell us it's true, I can't believe it. I want you to know I've seen enough to know it's true. I don't need to see the rest, and I'm not willing to put that in my head for you because you won't believe anyone but me. I'm telling you I've seen enough. I don't need to see anymore. It haunts me. It should haunt all of us. Yesterday, a Jewish man was beaten to death in Los Angeles, not Los Angeles of 1930, not Los Angeles, Germany, not Los Angeles, Iraq. Los Angeles, California in the United States was near a protest of Palestinian supporters, and the Jewish man was beaten to death. He's dead. The medical investigator says it's a murder. Let me read you the headlines for how the American media has covered it. From CNN, man in California dies after suffering head injury at pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian demonstrations. From the New York Times, Jewish man dies after altercation at dueling protests in California. From NBC News, Jewish man dies after hitting head in altercation at dueling pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian rallies in California. And then from ABC 7, Jewish man dies from injuries suffered at Israel-Palestine rally in Westlake Village. He was murdered by a Palestinian activist who shoved the elderly man to the ground and bashed his head into the concrete, and he died. This wasn't an accident. Notice how the media covers this. Now ask yourself, if it was a white nationalist who did it to the Jewish man, how it would be covered. This is why so many people would prefer that I go watch the video footage of Hamas killing people, because they can't believe the press. This is on the National Press Corps. This is on the Biden administration. You can't believe them. And then I'll tell you what's even more offensive to me. The people behind these microphones, like I'm behind this microphone, who are so damn scared of losing their audience, they want to play both sides. Oh, yes, we have to remember what Israel has done to the Palestinians. We do have to understand they've treated the Palestinians badly. We do have to understand the Palestinians feel oppressed. You don't have to understand that to understand tying a man and his son together and pouring gasoline on them and lighting them on fire is inhumane, cruel, monstrous, and those people should be destroyed. You don't have to play both sides. It is the simple minds and the stupid who play both sides when it comes to good and evil. That try to understand why the people are evil. You know why the people are evil? Because they're evil. They are without God. In the absence of God, there's evil. There are radio show hosts on conservative radio who want to play both sides. They want to do it. Well, on this hand, well, on that hand, except that hand doesn't exist anymore because Hamas chopped it off and stuck it in their mouth before putting a bullet in their head. A Jewish man, not Israeli, an American citizen who is Jewish, was killed by Palestinian protesters in Los Angeles yesterday, and the media read the headlines, read as if it was an accident. He tripped and fell. No, he was shoved to the ground forcefully and died because his head was bashed into the concrete, and the media will not report it that way, even though the medical examiner says that's exactly what happened, and there's a homicide investigation. When confronted with evil, too many people wish to nuance it. In Washington, D.C., a Palestinian protester had this to say, you need to listen to this. You need to hear this. You need to understand this woman's point.
Resistance in the U.S. is justified, just like our resistance in Palestine is justified.
Resistance in the U.S. is justified, just like our resistance in Palestine was justified. What was that resistance in Palestine? On October 7th, Hamas went to the home of a family, pulled out the eye of a man and made him swallow it, chopped off the finger of the man's son, made him hold it, chopped off the foot of the man's daughter and made her hold it, chopped off the wife's breast and made her hold it. Then they raided the refrigerator, ate a meal, and then put bullets in their heads. That actually happened. And this woman says that resistance like that in the United States is justified. This is a call for violence in the United States. And you people who are both siding this, shame on you. There is no both sides here. There is good and evil, and this is evil. This resistance, this call for resistance is a call for violence in this country. Progressive activists, Antifa members, and pro-Hamas supporters are tomorrow calling for an international day of action against weapons companies profiting from genocide in Palestine. You know who's committing that genocide? Not the Jews, but Hamas, who's using these people as human shields. But you wouldn't know that because they're out to get the Jews. I have the tool guide or the toolkit prepared by people. They want an international day of action in all possible cities and sites of production and headquarters of transnational weapons companies, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, Elbit Systems. They also want to focus on Amazon, Hewlett-Packard, and Microsoft. They want disruption. They want violence. They want protests. They're doing this globally. They're doing this across the United States. You understand, please, these people are the enemy. And those of you who are talk radio show hosts who think you can talk out of both sides of your mouth on this, you're playing to the enemy. At some point, you have to pick a side. The media has refused to pick a side, and to the extent they've picked a side, they've picked the Palestinian side, constantly reporting on what Hamas's Gaza Health Ministry says. These are lies. These people are liars. These people are evil. They are terrorists. I do not need to go on Thursday to see more of that horror and put more of it in my head. I've seen enough. I don't need to see any more. I feel sorry for the people, though I understand who they can't believe it's true. They can't believe people would be that monstrous. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes, and they want me to see more, and I will not do it for any of you to see any more of what I've already seen. The horror that will not escape my mind, the horror that enrages me. You should be enraged without even having to see it, to know it's true, to know it happened, to not take both sides. There was a ceasefire on October 7th. That ceasefire was broken in the most monstrous way possible. You can't both sides that. There was peace and then there was not. There was peace and then there was terror. There was peace and now there are hostages, and the people who say we need a ceasefire, we need to understand the Palestinian position. Why aren't you saying release the hostages? Why aren't you saying lay down your arms, Hamas? Because you're actually on the side of evil. And those of you trying to nuance it, those of you trying to justify it, those of you trying to play both sides, those of you not willing in the media to admit a Jewish man was murdered yesterday in Los Angeles by Palestinian activists, you may escape justice in this life. But the rest of us can take comfort in the doctrine of hell, because you will not escape justice in the end, and you will burn. You might as well get on the winning team now. You've still got a chance. But I suspect most of you don't believe in even that. You're willing to side with evil or to nuance it because you don't want to recognize the horror. You want to think of it as a false flag. You want to Alex Jones it. You're no better than him.
Want to be on the show?